Yes. Yes,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, great. Good morning, everyone, again. My name is Gaoussou CAMARA. As you can see on the left of the slide, I'm the coordinator of the Digital Science and Technology Network, and also a faculty member at Alioune Diop University of Bambey in Senegal. So I will be responsible today for the animation of this module called Constitution of the Consortium to Respond to the Call. And during this session, we will use a case study based on the Europe Africa Booster Call that I will present later on this presentation. As a reminder, this training is proposed by ACE Partner Program in collaboration with Bondinnov. You have maybe already familiar with Bondinnov, which is an association working with IRD, which is Institute for Sustainable Development, a French institute based in many African countries and other countries in the world. Yes, this is just some rules to allow us do this presentation correctly. So this is the fourth module of the 8 of the ACE Partner course that aims to provide a consortium formation methodology. We will also talk about different elements to understand the lead, the follow-up of the activities, and how to manage the consortium during the project life cycle. So this presentation will be organized in 4 subsections. The first one, we will define how to establish a consortium. We will also give some definition of some keywords like what is a consortium, etc. And the second subsection will talk about the prospecting and setup. So how to network the consortium members and how to establish the different component of the workshop of the consortium. By this, I mean the project itself, the contract between the partners, etc., etc. And in a third subsection, we will talk about the contractualization. This will be a very short subsection because we have a more detailed module on how to set up a research project or research innovation project contractualization. And we will finish by the consortium life cycle. And as a reminder, all these sections will be highlighted using the Europe Africa Booster case study. So a consortium is, can be defined by referring to famous citation. So if you want to move fast, work alone. But if you want to move further, let's work together. So I think this is a famous, maybe even in Africa, this is usually used to illustrate the mindset of working in collaboration or in group. But more formally, a consortium is an agreement between multiple persons, association or companies aiming to cooperate on the execution of one or several economic, financial, scientific, or cultural operations. Here we can see some pictures, some main pictures of what is a consortium in the domain of a research project. A consortium is something temporary. It means that it is aligned with the activity. So the duration of the consortium is aligned with the duration of your project. And a consortium is informal. So it's a constitution of a group without any legal personality, except maybe the contract you will have between the members. And a consortium is also free. It means that there is any regulatory tax, you are free to join it. You are maybe free to leave it, but with maybe some conditions that will be defined in the contract. So why do we need to build a consortium in response to a call for tenders? Three main reasons. The consortium is imposed, meaning that the funder imposes that the project must be from two institutions from two different countries. For example, in the ACE Partner program within the Digital Science and Technology Network, we had two calls for proposals. We called the research teams. And in this call, we imposed to have two COPI, two project investigators, coming from at least two different African centers of excellence of two different countries. So the idea was to stimulate, to encourage the collaboration between researchers of African centers of excellence of different countries. A consortium could also be tactical. For example, it is impossible for a partner could involve complementary partners to enhance its capacity to operationalize the activities of the project. So we have some hand raised. Just wanted to respond to greetings earlier. Okay, but we have a. Let's continue until the end of this subsection, and then we will let you ask questions, please. So if you have concerns regarding maybe the audio or the slides, please leave a message on the chat. So another motivation of a consortium is the necessity. It means that one partner is not able to respond to a call for tender specifications alone. So it needs to, for example, we have a call in which we need some expertise in agriculture, in ICT. So a specialist in agriculture is not capable on its own to respond to this call, but he needs to invite an specialist in ICT to join the consortium. So the free and informal nature of the consortium means that the main issues of the consortium must be agreed at a very early stage. So when you are building a consortium, ensure that the activities and commitment scope of everyone are discussed at the very early stage. The agenda and the budget, you will see that there is a kind of overlapping, of the different modules, because we have a next module on how to establish the budget. But if you need to build a consortium, we need also to discuss at a very early stage how the budgets will be dispatched and how the budget, for example, will be managed, and we will give more details on this aspect. Another point to discuss is the legal responsibilities and eventualities, the solidarity of between the members. The leadership and the operating rules, because you can initiate a consortium, but you could not be the leader of this consortium. So the lead of this consortium, the institution lead, or the person who will lead the consortium need to be discussed. The governance and decision making, so how the decisions are made, and so on. The intellectual property, very, very important, because a research project aims to produce finance, and it is very important to discuss how these findings will be shared between the partners. And if some partners have previous assets, how these assets are shared with the members of the consortium, and so on and so on. And we have the communication also, because in terms of communication, we can talk about logo, we can talk about website, we can talk about dissemination of scientific results, etc. And the last but not the least, we need in a consortium to have a collective vision at the very early stage of the beginning of this. So the timeline in building a consortium, it could be from few months to few years, but in three main steps. But it depends. In few months, it depends on the nature of the call. If you see, for example, the European calls, for example, they start advertising on the call 6 months, even 1 year before the opening or before the deadline of the call. And you can have also some other call for which the deadline is only 2 months or 3 months from the advertising or the opening call. So it depends on the nature of the call, but in any case, you will start by identifying the call for proposal, and from there you can start prospecting partners and set up the consortium. And after you have identified your consortium members, you can draft a contract. This is different to the contract of the project itself, but this is the contract between the members of the consortium, a kind of agreement on what is the responsibility of each members, etc., etc. And then we have the most important part, which is the coordination of the consortium and the implementation of the project activities. These are the three main steps we can have in the timeline of the life cycle of a consortium. So when we are involved in a consortium or when we aim to build a consortium, we need to have a kind of mindset, meaning that this is a teamwork, and a teamwork is sometimes rewarding, but sometimes it's also uncomfortable. So because we have different persons from different cultures, having different work rates, different agenda, etc., etc. So the role of the leader in this consortium is essential to stimulate the group. And the leader must have a technical role, meaning that the leader must master every component of the project, and also a human role, human reminding commitments, maybe also negotiating differences between some partners, etc., etc. But the leader must be careful to do not impose his vision while managing and answering of everyone's commitment. So let's see now the booster, the Europe Africa booster case study. Just to showcase or to have an example-based, approach on how to build a consortium. This case study is a bit fictitious, but is based on a real world case. So this is a very complex example, because the Europe-Africa types of project are very complex, many years, 3 or 4 years, and also a strong budget and so on. But we deliberately choose this one, to let you see the different components or the different aspects in building a consortium. If you can handle the elements of this example, then you will know how to react to every situation and tackle each case of situation. So we have a question. Yes, we will share the slides of this presentation, and the recordings also will be available on our channel on YouTube and on our website. So the call for Project Europe Africa Booster was launched in June 2019, and by the European Union following the 2018 agreement between the European Union and the African Union. The objective is to develop sustainable ties between innovation actors, researchers, and stakeholders from both continents. In this case study, we will use the Spire, a Portuguese consulting firm that knows to the perfection the inner working of the European Union goals. Spire is a firm composed of more than 1,000 people dispatched in 4 offices in Europe, including Brussels, and some branches in the United States and in India. So this Spire already set up a similar project of the Europe Africa booster, but in China. So, however, they don't know anything about African continent. But Spire wanted to build a consortium to respond to this call with African partners. So it is a major challenge for Spire, this company. So maybe just to remind that usually here in Africa we are responding to call for tenders. The response is initiated by a researcher in a university or a research institute, but usually in Europe we have companies dedicated in building consortiums, inviting universities, public or private institutions to join the consortium and so on. And these firms or companies can also lead the consortium. It depends on the specification of the call. If the call specifies that the lead must be a research or a university, a research institute or university, so the firm could just organize the consortium, but let member, as a research institute member, lead the call. So just to remind, because it is not usual in Africa to have companies leading consortium in response to call for tenders. So this is a major challenge for Spire to grow in and with African continent, consider it as the continent of the fiction. So let's start with this case study with Spire to respond to the Europe Africa booster call. So the building of this consortium will follow 2 main steps: the prospecting step and the setup step. So first, for the prospecting, so we have the starting point. So Spire CEO, Chief Executive Officer, proposed to the innovation manager Alfonso to set a consortium that will be able to win the call. So and Spire will lead the consortium for the response. So Alfonso will be able to devote 25% of his time during 6 months on this project. This is really very, very important. And this is my advice also for our institutions. So when we aim to win goals, we need to designate some responsibles and allow them or let them the time and give them the means, to prepare the response to this goal. As for Alfonso, who will be able to use 25% of his time during 6 months to work on this project. And Alfonso will also have an assistant, Sonia, to help him on this task. So you can see or realize here how it is important to have, dedicated persons on preparing the proposal and building the consortium. So the project needs to be submitted at the latest, the 6th of January at midnight on the European platform. This is very important because the deadline will be very determining in the progress of the different steps of building the consortium. So the Europe Africa booster project amount cannot exceed 60 million euro for 3 years. Management fees are maximum 20%. So we will talk about more about these management fees or and direct costs of a project in the budget formalization later. But at the very beginning, as I said, it is important for the partners to know that the lead member will, will have at least 20% of the budget for the management of the consortium and of the project. So as you can guess, if Alfonso doesn't win the call, it will be a loss for Spire, having a staff and an assistant for 6 months working on this kind of project and do not able to win it, yeah, will be very, very difficult. So Alfonso gave himself a month to prepare the consortium. Okay, the network is. So Mamadou, could you confirm me that you are hearing me well? Because someone is saying that.
Yeah, I do hear you. Just sometimes the voice is low down.
Oh,
so
okay.
maybe you should be closer to the microphone.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe what I can, or someone else maybe in the chat can let me know what is the quality of the audio. So if needed, I can maybe switch to another internet connection. Okay, Vivian can hear me. Thank you very much. Okay, great. So I will continue. So as I said, Alfonso gave himself a month to list the core objectives and activities, as well as the constraints, list the qualifications and partner profiles to look for. This is also another advice I will give to our participants when you have a call. It's not only for the consortium, but for all the parts of the responding process. You need to, at the very beginning, read all the call and the main criteria in terms of budget, in terms of consortium, in terms of duration, etc., etc. And second, Alfonso fill a first project CAMARA and upload it on a research platform for international partnership. So in Europe, for example, for the European call, and for example, for some other calls in the world, they have dedicated platform to post a request for partnership or to discover partners that are looking for consortium. For example, for the European call, you have the Europa platform. In this platform, you can research, you can search, for partners. So if I have a company, I can go to this platform and register myself, describing my activities, my expertise, etc., etc. And then if Mamadou, for example, is looking for someone like me for his consortium, so he can find my profile on this platform. But usually we don't have this kind of platform in Africa, so we need to use an alternative or an alternate solution. For example, LinkedIn, or maybe contacting our collaborators or our colleagues to discover potential partner. We can also look to our cards we collected during conferences and so on. So the second thing that Alfonso did is to call his direct connection. As I said, we have the second point talking about the Europa platform, but we can also use our contact list to look for relevant partners. And finally, during the first months of the preparation of the consortium, Alfonso drafted a template for identifying partners to introduce themselves, collect the initial information on everyone. So usually you can define a kind of partner descriptions, where you can have the institutions, the contact persons, the expertise, the experience of the institution, etc., etc. You can list, you can provide a kind of template, you know, to identify or to ask your identified partners to fill. And from maybe these documents, you can decide later if you will engage them in your consortium or not. Okay, now also in the prospecting phase, so it lasts now 4 months, and Alfonso has collected 8 contacts that could be interested by the topic of the call and by the consortium. And for the next 2 months, he will explore with each of them the possibility for collaboration while continuing searching for contacts, because maybe all the 8 contacts will not agree to join the consortium. So he presented this to his CEO, so to get to the next step. So he got the validation, because even if Alfonso identified the contacts, but Alfonso is part of a company, maybe the lead of the company need to see if they have interest in working with such partners and so on. So once Alfonso got the validation of his CEO, so he presents his methodology and plan with each pre-identified partners a call to present or to go in details in the call for proposal, but also the first draft Alfonso prepared is also shared with the partner, and also Alfonso can discuss with the identified partner what are the mutual intentions, you know, for each of them on this project. And for each of these partner identified, Alfonso can propose a partnership agreement. So this partnership agreement will be the reference document, you know, of the collaboration between the 2 partners. But later on, they can have a more general agreement partnership signed by all the different members of the consortium. So Alfonso have the agreement, Alfonso already met the different partners and also proposed a draft of an agreement. At this point, Alfonso collected 10 partners, 5 in Europe and 5 in Africa. Who have accepted to collaborate and now Alfonso planned to organize a physical meeting in Lisbon. Just reminding that Spire is a company based in Lisbon. And in the course of this 2-day seminar in Lisbon, this will allow the consortium to validate all the components of the project. So, for example, Alfonso gave himself as objective to bring the partners to brainstorm, but to know also each other, to validate together the global roadmap and everyone's scope, to work governance and post-project collective visions, because even if I said in the beginning that a consortium has a duration that is in line with the project, some consortium could last more than the duration of the project itself. This can also be discussed during the constitution of the consortium. So to identify also the global budget allocation between the different partners and remind the legal and financial constraints, time constraint implied by the call for tenders. So a work schedule is sent to each partner ahead to the seminar with frame to read and complete. because 2 days is not really very long to work on such a project. It is needed, it is always needed to send the documents before the meetings. So it in Lisbon, but one of the partner couldn't come for various reasons. The consortium members decided to move forward without him. So during this meeting, Aspire drafted the meeting report with diagrams of the various work package and the budget allocation, as well as the global calendar. All these different aspects were discussed during this meeting. So more, and after the meeting, more precise and complete frame are sent to everyone so that each member feels his part. So as you can imagine, the details of the activities, expected results, measurable impact, or indicators, use of budgets, implementation schedule, etc. So Alfonso draft what is left on the proposal, because sometimes there is one person responsible for merging the parts of the different partners, and is also responsible to complete the remaining parts or the remaining sections. So at the end, he adds partners' contributions progressively, because after the meeting in Lisbon, they continue working online.
Gaoussou, we're not
Add
hearing
the
you.
content on the
Gaoussou?
you're not hearing me.
No, we lost you a few minutes.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let me switch. Mamadou? Hello, Mamadou. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Great. I'm trying to change my internet connection.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay, great. So just to summarize that on this step, we are managing the remaining part of the project proposal. And if you look at the top of the slide, we are at 1 or 2 months before the deadline of the submissions. So as you can see now, Alfonso have the draft of the proposal. So in which we have the description of the partners, the resumes, we have the table of content, all the documents that need to be prepared, the implementation plan, summary, you know, the budget, and so on and so on. So now we are at 10 days to the deadline for the submission of the proposal. So at 10 days, the final document is completed. Negotiations and budgetary arbitration have been done to get the maximum budget allocated, because as I said, the maximum budget is 6 million, and each partner proposed a budget for the implementation of its activities. So if some of these budgets go beyond the maximum allowed, the lead need to do some arbitrations to stay below the maximum, below the limit. From this date, each partner has 2 days to proofread and validate the global document. As you know, even if each partner provide part of the proposal regarding its contribution or its activities, each partner is also required to read all the documents to contribute of the global proposal, and also to be aware of the coherence and the interdependencies between the different activities. It's not said that you are responsible of work package one and you don't care about work package 5, because you can have some dependencies between work packages. So at 5 days to the deadline, so we are on the technical registration. Alfonso opened a project account on the European Union. You know what, this is something I wanted to change, because this is absolutely wrong. We cannot wait 5 days before the deadline to start opening the project account on the submission platform. Even if you submit a paper, a scientific paper, you need to open your account days before. So an advice is to do it at the very beginning of the call. If the platform is open, start by opening an account and see what are the different sections you need to fill, the documents you need to upload, and then the format of the documents you need to upload. So this is really very, very important, because sometimes you can have a template provided, for example, a Word document template provided at the launch of the call, but during the call open it, the platform could change some elements. I can give an example for the call Arise African Research Initiative for Scientific Excellence, launched by the African Academy of Science. At the beginning, they asked it to in the template provided, there were a budget template, and they asked it to prepare the budget in euro. But when the candidates started uploading or putting their data on the platform, the submission platform, they found that the budget needed to be, so there are indications saying that the budget are in dollars. So this was very, very complicated, because the maximum amount was 500,000 euro, and we didn't know if we need to set the budget at $500,000, or we can convert the initial budget in euro directly in dollar. Even if we can convert it, the conversion takes a lot of time because the budget was very, 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 very detailed. So this is one of the reasons that you need to open your account on the platform, start putting some data, even if these are fictitious data, you put them just to be familiar with the platform and avoid any surprise. So at the day of the deadline, so the submission of signing documents. So, but before that, after every partner read the documents, you need to submit your, the lead of the consortium, because the consortium lead is the responsible of the project in front of the funder. So the project is submitted to the legal representative of the institutions, and this legal representative and the head of the institution need to proofread the document and sign it. So as you can guess, 5 days is very small, to submit a final document to your institutional representative. I would suggest to do it maybe 1 month before or 2 weeks before. It already happened to us. We submitted a document to be signed by our authority. But when we submitted the document this week, the authority was not at the university. So we missed the deadline because he said that he is out of office and didn't have time to read all the documents in details and submit it to the legal representative, to check every engagement of the institutions. So that's why I would advise in this kind of, even if you continue working on the final documents, it is better to submit, a draft, a complete draft to your authorities to let them the time, to look at the proposal before the deadline is approaching. Great. Now, every steps of the consortium building are achieved. Now the project is submitted on 6 January, and then the consortium need to wait for the results. So some takeaways before the end of this subsection. As I said, this example is fictitious, but based on real life case. In real life, you will not necessarily have 6 months to get ready for a call for tenders. As I said, it depends on the kind of call. For example, today the European call for proposal is open from October, I think, or September, and the deadline is February or March. So this is European call in 6 months. But if you take the examples in the African Centers of Excellence or in our universities, sometimes you have 2 months or 3 months. And another point is that you will not have necessarily framing tools, prefabricated templates to manage your consortium. As I said, the Europa platform is not always available for African calls or, for example, American calls and so on. So you will not have maybe sufficient resources to engage in travels expenditure. You can easily imagine that gathering 10 partners in Portugal from Africa and from Europe is budget consuming. So you are not, you are in the process of submitting and you are not sure that you will be, you will win the call, and you start by spending a lot of money. Do we have all these means in our institutions to such activities, engaging travel expenditure, etc.? So if we don't have it, we can use existing platform like online meetings, using emails or mailing list and so on. So, or WhatsApp group. So we can rely on accessible resources or means to get engaged or to have a discussion platform if we don't have enough money, to gather the partners. But physical meetings could be very, very helpful in such strong or in such big call. Also, in real life, you will potentially have to form smaller consortiums in terms of time, budget, challenges, number of members. Here we had 10 members, number of countries. Here we had 10 countries, variety of actors, organization, language. This is also very, very important. You can have a consortium constituted by French-speaking countries, English-speaking countries, and why not Chinese-speaking countries, etc. So you need to have or to be able to manage this difference between between these aspects. And last slide for the takeaways. Whatever your reality is, a few tips to get ready and mitigate the risk. So start by pre-identifying with local partners the actions or projects you want to carry out. So don't wait to have a call and start preparing or start building a consortium. So when you go to the conferences or you participate to the trainings or summer schools, you can exchange with some persons that talking about, topic of interest, start collaborating online on some topics. And once you see a call launch sheet, you can easily build a consortium because you have already on hand some partners with which you have already started working on some common interest. So keep a permanent watch on call for funding and a systematic review. This is very important because if you are informed very late of a call, so you will not be able to prepare your proposal or to build a consortium on time. So if possible, get an advice from professionals specialized in preparing call for per project. This is not usual in Africa, but more and more I can see that we have such companies who propose their services, in accompanying the researchers to prepare the code. So we have Oronova, for example, in Europe, who accompanied us in preparing our researchers or young researchers to submit to the ARISE call. Recently, I had information of a company in Dakar, Senegal, established there and who started getting in touch with the universities, to propose its services to accompany them on preparing proposal. So if you don't have the means for these companies, even if you don't have companies, you can have a specialist in project management or something like that in your university. You can hire a project specialist who will be, in charge of identifying calls, preparing the calls, and helping the faculty members to submit their call. Or lawyers, this is very important when it comes to contractualization of the project between the partners and with the funder. And finally, create templates to organize collective response. So with your experience, if you have participated in many proposal preparation, you can keep the templates for further call. So this will help you to save a lot of time, and maybe you will be more focused on the scientific content of your proposal rather than the organizational parts, because you already have many supporting documents you can use. Great. This is the first subsection of this presentation. So maybe Mamadou, from now, if there are some people who want to react, we can yeah, we can take them. So we have comments on the chat. Thank you for the presentation. Can one contact Spire individually after seeing the call, or contact Alfonso? Which process come first, seeing the call followed by Alfonso, or so it depends. This can be done in both ways. So if Alfonso identify you as a potential partner, so Alfonso will contact you, but you can go to the platform, for example, or if there is no platform. I can give my example. For a call in the past, I went to the platform And I was searching to a leader that is looking for partners to respond to the call. So you can go to the platform and see that Spire want to respond to this call, and you see that in the proposal of Spire, you have expertise to contribute or to implement one of the Planet activities, and you can contact the Spire and propose your service. So this is not a problem. Okay, and we have Brahima CAMARA. Okay, no problem. If you are here in this meeting, it means that you received the email from our organizers. So we have your email address, and at the end of the training, you will all receive the link to the video recording and the slides and all the materials we used here. So this response is the same for Sheriff Diallo. We will send all the course materials. Okay, Ezan can't see my screen. Yeah, maybe you need to refresh your internet connection. Okay. Let me see if I have hand raised. Yes, I have Oka. Okay, I will let you activate your microphone if you have a question. Please proceed.
We still have one question from Mayowa Ajiboye, who said, thank you, Gaoussou, for the presentation. My question is, can we get the pool where we can access these donors?
Yes, we have prepared a kind of database of donors, of calls that are open to African institutions, research, innovation, and education institutions. This database was presented yesterday morning, and we will share the database with you so that you can see all the calls available in Africa from European Union, from Bill and Melinda Gates, from African Union, etc., etc. So we will share this database.
Yes, with regard to donors, I will suggest to you, once you identify, get connected, open your account and receive the newsletter. So it will help you to be always in touch with them and know when the openings are being scheduled.
Yeah. Okay. So we have another question. Thank you for the presentation. How many people maximum can be involved in writing a proposal? It depends. It depends on the size or the nature of the call. But mainly, we have some technical parts of the project in which some kind of expertise are needed. For example, if we have a project with work packages, and in the activities, each activities, for example, we need to define or to describe the state of the art. So you need to have a specialist on this domain to define the state of the art of this activity. For example, I can say the modeling of COVID-19 spreading. So if we need to describe the state of the art in terms of modeling of infectious disease spreading in the world, so we need a specialist on this domain. And if you have 2 work packages in a project, it is different if you have 10 work packages in a project. But what is important is that you need to have one person which is the responsible of preparing or who is responsible of gathering all the components of the project. So this person can request the contribution of a partner in writing one section or in writing one part of the proposal. So we cannot say 10 is the maximum, 2 is the maximum. We can have a proposal written by 2%. We can have also a proposal written by 10%. So what is important is just to keep in mind that at every time we need one person to ensure that all the proposal is complete, and if needed, this person can request a partner to complete its part. And do you always have to exhaust the budget given you in your proposal call? I imagine that when you talk exhaust is to finish consuming the budget, right? If yes, not always, because you can have some activities that are not implemented, and the dedicated budget of these activities will not be exhausted. So you will need to reimburse the donors. But sometimes the donor will not give you all the budget. The donor could give you only 75% of the budget at the beginning and tell you at the end, if you finish all the activities, I mean by that finishing but because the execution of the activities go in line with the consuming of the budget. So if you finish all the activities, at the end, we will give you the 25% remaining. But if you do not finish all the activities, so we will calculate the remaining. For example, in the 25% remaining, 10% were not executed. So the donor will only send you the balance of 15% and keep the 10%. But also, if in the 75% you received, you only execute the 60%, so you will have to send back to the donor 15%, the 15% you didn't consume. So, but you do not always need to exhaust, but it's not a good point, because if it remains money on the budget, maybe it means that you didn't really plan appropriately your budget according to the activities. But
yeah,
risks are in project executions, and it's not a problem.
Yeah, on that point, I would like to highlight that the disbursement of the budget may not take place right away. It can take like 6 months before you start, or it can be delayed. So be aware of the situation that linked to the disbursement with your bank, your institution. All this stuff, you have to understand them and make them clear, so that you will not have a delay in getting your money and start the project. Yeah.
Okay, I will complete the response to Emmanuel because he was saying, do we need to be exhausted when applying for the grant? Yes, we need to be exhausted because, and we advise you to be exhausted because the reviewer, the evaluator of your project, sometimes the budget is a very, important part of your proposals. That is really well screened. So sometimes even if your proposal is accepted, it could be a long period of negotiation about the budget. So how to define properly each part of the budget, but you need to more exhaust in the definition of your budget. This is my advice, because if we have many proposals and we have to shortlist the proposals, the budget could be one of criteria of shortlisting. So try to be exhaustive in your budget description when applying for the grant. And being exhaustive will also lead to evaluate the eligibility of the cost, because sometimes the donor define eligibility criteria for expenses. So if you are not clear, or if you are not exhaustive, maybe this will not lead to the donor to validate the eligibility of this budget, of the cost, I mean. Okay. So we have another question. Thank you, CAMARA, for the presentation. Please, how does this relates with the module 1 and 2? So the module 1 was the introduction, part of this training, and the module 1 and 2, the one I think we switched it. The 2 is the mapping of the donors. So in the module 2, we presented the existing donors or the existing funders who are interested in Africa. And let me check the module 1 or the module 2 is definition of the approach to response to a call. So these are very related, because I think the module 1 and 2 is the broader module, and the module from 3 to 8 are specific modules that will help you prepare your proposal. And yesterday we saw in module 3 how to put the call in his context and how to prepare to your problem statement, by seeing the causes, the effect, etc., etc. So module 1 and 2 are the broader modules, and from 3 to 8 you have the specific modules. This one for building the consortium. We have a next one. I will do also the module 6, how to prepare the budget and plan the activities, and so on and so on. Yeah. So I will come back to my module.
Yeah, I would like to add something to this question, the relationship between this module 4 and the module 1 and 2. The module 1 helped you to make a mapping of the donors. I told you that when I was presenting my the module 3, I said that you have to make a mapping of the donors in local, in regional, and in international that help you. You can also organize them into private and public. Just why? Because these may be potential donors for you related to your project. The module 2, in the module 2, we talked about the relationship between the research and its environment. The module 2 will help you to understand how you will contextualize your project in its context in the country, the milieu, the region, in taking into account the social environment, the political, the legal, and also the economic. Now, when you come to, when you understand module 2, module 1 and 2, when you come to module 4 now, you already have ideas about your project, about how you can achieve your project. You have an idea in which context are you conducting your project. Now, in module 4, you have decided. Remember, we talked about pull, push, decide to go, not to go. Finally, you decide to go. Now you have decided to go. Who will help you have all the skills that will help you respond? The module 4 just to help you to understand you can go for consortium to have all the skills that are required to fit the answer of the call for project. So this is the relationship you can make. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mamadou, this response. So we have another very interesting question from Vivian. So in case where one or two members of the team consistently do not participate in the consortium preparation or implementation, what do you do? Very interesting questions, but very difficult question. You know what? Sometimes you have a partner. Suppose you have a call for tenders in which we ask you to have 3 research institutions located in 3 different countries, and you have 5 partners, 2 in the same country, the 2 others in the same country, and the last one in the 3rd country. So if the last one in the 3rd country didn't really contribute to the preparation of the consortium, are you going to remove it when submitting your proposal? This is a problem because when you remove it at the end of the preparation, you will not fit to the requirements of the call, because the call said that you need to have 3 different countries in your call. This is one point, and you have to decide. So I remove it, and then we will not be able to respond to this call. Or what you can do also is say, okay, we keep it, but after the proposal submission, we need to have a meeting to get him engaged, etc., etc. So this is a very interesting question, but I wanted to give this example to let you see what would be your behavior or your decision in such a situation. This is for the preparation of the call, but during the implementation of the call, and I have an example in the following slides. So if a partner didn't really work on the project and maybe will occasion or will cause a delay on the activities, so you can transfer the activities to another partner or to another existing partners in the consortium, or to hire another partner during the implementation of the project. But all these decisions need to be discussed and validated with the donors. So you can say, explain to your donor, I have a partner, and during the implementation, we have difficulties, and you need to present all the difficulties, and also the initiatives you engage it to resolve the problem. So if you are not able to resolve the problem, now you can propose to your donor, to hire another partner. So if your donor agree, you can hire another partner to replace your this one. So this is very interesting questions, and it remind me the role of the leader. As I said, the leader is has a human, a technical and human responsibilities. So you can see it in the different slides, and the human responsibilities plays a very strong role in keeping engaged all the partners in the preparation and in the implementation of your proposal. Okay, let me maybe continue and then take the next questions during the next question and response session. So contractualization, as I said, we were at the end of the proposal preparation, and the proposal was submitted, finger crossed. The consortium application has been selected out of 12 applications received by the European Union. So this is a very good news. And what makes the difference was the size of the consortium and the location of the actors and their expertise. As you can see when submitting, what is important to ensure in a consortium is the existence of the necessary expertise for the implementation of the project, and also the complementarity between the different partners of the consortium. Now, contract need to be drafted between the partners for this project. As I said, I can give some example, maybe, but I need to. I cannot. Maybe this is recorded, so I cannot share personal data. But I wanted to share an example of a project we had in our institution with 2 different partners. But when the project was accepted, we drafted a contract between the partners. My institutions drafted a partner with partner 1 and with partner 2. And in this contract, since we received only 70% of the funding, so the contract specified that with our partners, when my university will receive 70%, the budget of the institution 1, for example, $10,000, we will send to this institution 70% of his budget. And the remaining 30% will be sent at the end of the project when my institution will receive the 30% remaining. This is a kind of agreement in terms of budget distribution and transfer. But we could also have another agreement saying that, okay, we will only receive 70% of the budget of the project, but my institution will send to each partners 100% of their budget, and at the end, when my university receive the 30% remaining, it will keep it for itself, because it already sent 100% of each for each partners. So this is some of the agreement we can have, once the project is accepted. But I gave an example about the budget aspect, and regarding this budget aspect, we have 2 logics. The first one is budget retrocession, and the second one is functional consortium. It means that with a budget retrocession, the lead partner sign a contract with the funding partners and then sign a contract with each member of the consortium. The lead partner is legally responsible for the project in front of the funding partner, but in the end, each partner of the consortium is responsible of his part of the budget. By responsible of his part of the budget means that each partner is responsible of justifying the use of his budget. And if part of his budget is not used, suitably used, so the partner will be responsible directly with the donor. So the second logic is a functional consortium. So the lead and the partners move together, but the lead partners is in charge of the budget execution. So the other partners act as service provider, but they will not have, receive the money and execute some activities. But for each activities executed by a partner, it is considered as a service provider providing activity. So the lead partner is fully responsible for the work and also for the budget execution and justification in front of the donor. This is a much more centralized system. So, but the first scenario enables the members to be more independent in their action scope. So if you have your own money, be independent mean that also in terms of execution of the budget, but you need to respect all the specification that was defined in the activities and budget repartition. So now the special attention needs to be paid on the intellectual property. As I said, this is very, very, very important. But usually we have some basic principle, on intellectual property. For example, here, right of access to mobilize the asset during the project. For example, if a partner possess data, expertise, or information that are necessary to the implementation of the action, of an action or of an activity, this partner must commit to give this right of access to the other consortium members that are involved in this action. And also assets property can be discussed, but generally speaking, the property of assets existing prior the consortium remains to the member possessing these rights. But the assets that are co-created during the implementation of the project belongs to the group. For this purpose, for the intellectual property specification purpose, a drafting document can also be proposed. And sometimes what is asked to each member is to list the assets possessed before the project and necessary for the execution of the project, just to be ensured that there will not be a confusion between the existing assets before the project and the assets that are produced during the project implementation, and that will belong to the group. Another particular attention is also paid to the governance, legal and technical commitment of SPEAR. So the lead institutions has some rights, but they can put in place, kind of structures or organization for the governance of the project. For example, here, the governance and responsibilities, SPIRE has a lead role, so it reports to the European Union and is responsible of everyone's efforts regarding the planning. So SPIRE will do the reports to the funders and also getting engaged all the partners. We can also have intermediary leaders. For example, if you have 5 partners, you can designate for each partners a lead of this partner, a lead, and these are intermediary leaders, because for SPIRE to report the activities to the funder, SPIRE needs to have access to the reports of each partner, of each consortium member. So we need to designate a consortium member lead, and this group could be considered as the intermediary leader of the consortium. So if a member of a consortium gets into a situation of technical or operational defect, he can be replaced by another consortium member or a third party. So this is in line with the question of Viviane earlier. So a board also can be set up, which is composed by members of the consortium, but also non-members of the consortium, meaning, for example, the European Union representative, the funder representative, and external person. So the role of this board is to guide and advise the consortium, as well as to establish their action in the long term. The communication and citation also in the contractualization needs to be specified. The project set up a logo, a landing page, and also an hierarchy of the partner logo on how to order the partner logo when citing them in documents. Every communication from the project need to mention the European Union with the following sentence. For example, this project is funded by the European Union as part of the, you usually see this kind of citation at the end of some papers you can see that this paper is supported, or this work is supported by project ID. So this is part of the agreement. So even in our African Centers of Excellence networks, for example, for the PhD students we funded, there is a section saying that if you produce an articles from your work supported by our network, you need to mention that this paper is part of, or this paper, the activity of this paper is supported by the Digital Science and Technology Network. So this is some example of communication and citation agreements that needs to be put in the contract. At the end, the final consortium contract addresses the following topics: the definition of terms. This is very important. So what do we mean by result? What do we mean by asset? What do we mean by consortium, etc., etc. So the consortium objectives, the condition of entrance in the consortium, or the condition of participation, the duration, and the condition of leaving the
Gaoussou?
Yes.
Excuse me, someone, Mayowa Ajiboye said he's not seeing your slide. I don't know if everyone is seeing the slide or just Mr. Mayowa. Are you seeing the slides?
Do you see my slides?
John Oparaduru, do you see the slide? Are you seeing the slide, you guys?
Yeah. People are saying that they see the slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I would suggest it to yes,
Look
I would
at
suggest
connection.
to see your connection again, because the majority are seeing the slide. Gaoussou, you can proceed. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So the time you were looking for these issues, maybe you already have a look to the different point of the contract, everyone responsibilities, commitment, governance, financial obligation, result obligation, right of access and intellectual property, and so on and so on. Okay. So some takeaways here. So always specify from the start of any consortium life cycle the important points. We'll avoid pitfalls, frustration, or misunderstanding. So we go further together only if we start well together. So word understanding specify what is understood in common terms is not useless. We usually have different definitions on words, etc. That's why we have this section at the very beginning, definition of terms. The choice of the logic responsibility, this is very important, centralized or decentralized, as I explained it here on the logic budget resource session or functional consortium. So do we send money to each partner, or does the lead keep the money and then the partner will act as service providers? The respect of other challenges, intellectual properties, communication, sustainability, vision, etc. So the consortium life cycle. So as an example, on April 6th, for example, between the submission, the acceptance, and the start of the project. So April 6th, the project started, launched for 3 years. The life cycle is the different steps, the planning of the activities and the reporting. Including also the evaluation and monitoring process we will see at the end of this training. So, for example, here, the consortium decided to have a day-long virtual project meeting every month. And also every quarter, each partner must send a report to the lead consortium, and the lead consortium must send the report every half year to the European Union representative. and a semi-annual steering committee is organized. An intermediary report also is provided by the lead to the funder at the end of the first year, and another report at the end of the project. So usually we have intermediary report. It depends on the duration of the project. We can have many intermediary report. If we have a project of 3 years, we can say at the end of the first year, we have the first intermediary report. At the end of the second year, we have another intermediary report. And at the end of the project, we have the final report. And during these reporting phases, many amendments could be done on the contract. For example, budget reallocation, replacement of a partner, etc. So at the first half year, so this is just some highlights of the events during the ongoing of the project implementation. At the first half year meeting, SPIRE informed the European Union of the temporary defect of one member of the consortium, a person considered as key resource of the project, left to the company. So the planned activities with this company will be delayed. The European Union answered that if it is simply a delay, no amendment has to be done. However, if there is a budget reallocation or an activity that will be transferred to a third party or another consortium member, so an amendment to the contract must be done. So just to highlight that all the events happening during the project implementation within the consortium need to be reported to the funder and see what are the ways or what kind of solution must be considered to continue processing the activities of the project. During the second year, 2 consortium members engaged in a common activity agreed on a long-term partnership with full consent of SPIRE. So we had 9 members. So when working with a partner, you can have, some common interests you decide to work on beyond the duration of the project. And if the consortium lead or all the consortium agree on this aspect, so why not? Another of the partners took an advantage of one of the project's pilot actions to refine its own pilot in the field of innovation, which is now monetized for. So what I want to highlight here is that some partners can take advantage of the project to develop some other activities. So this is benefits of positive side effect or side benefit of the project for some partners. And 2 partners with similar activities, one in Africa, the other in Europe, decided also to tune. After 3 years of the project, the result was were successfully, assessed. And this is not always the case, but we are seeing the positive aspect, of this project, of this fictitious example. So the direct beneficiaries and partners largely acclaim the program as a whole, the consortium and the service offered. The budget was fully used as required. That's not the case also for every project. And the donor decided to repeat the project for the same consortium during 3 years, but with some limitations. For example, 8% of the budget and a limitation of the budget to 4 million. So Alfonso, you remember him, was the lead of this consortium, got a promotion in his company. He did not say it to anyone, but his management was very complicated. And this is the case And I know that many of you have already involved in a consortium or leaded consortium and faced to a lot of complications you need to handle every day, every day. But this is a very rewarded experience. So last takeaways, a consortium is by nature the temporary building of a collective, the framing of the budget and agenda, common vocabulary, respect, and listening are essential to make it work. Uncomfortable, often the collaborative approach allows to develop fast. But there are a lot of challenges, human challenges to keep everyone engaged, technical challenges, because the lead is responsible in having, an eye on every activities happening in the different partners. So thank you very much to everyone for listening to this module that was prepared in collaboration with Nino Duval of Bondinnov. So if you have any question, you can contact us, Gregory, Giraud, me, Gaoussou, or Mamadou, and we will be very happy to answer to your questions. So Mamadou, I hand over to you to moderate the question and response session. Hello, Mamadou. Maybe your microphone is off, or I can just directly take the questions from the chat. So if you wanted to ask your question online, you can just raise your hand and I will let you speak. What will happen if you don't finish all the activities at time? Yes. If you don't finish all the activities on time, it depends on the call, but you can ask to your donors an extension of the deadline for the ending of the project. But usually a call is limited in terms of duration, because you are many executing activities. If you are 10 projects to fund it, if the 9 projects finish their activities on time, you are the only one. So maybe the donor will not be able to wait 6 months or 1 year later for your project to be finished and to do the reporting of all the program. So if you not need to finish all the activities, but this will affect the evaluation and of your project. And it's not very good, because in the future, if you apply for the same donor or for another one, maybe this could be considered as a negative point that you were not able in a previous project to finish all your activities. We have another, apologize, I have another call now. Thank you for the presentation. Okay, Vivian, thank you. Akunda, very excellent presentation. Thank you very much. And I mean memorandum of understanding, but it has, this is Adewale. We have a question, but it has been explained in the just a complete presentation. Okay, great. We have John Oparaduru. What is favorite topic we have to focus on project to look forward partner financial? What is favorite topic? So the topic is defined by the financial partner. For example, Bill and Melinda Gates will say, we will fund topics on health domain. You can see, for example, there is a running call from IRDC, the Canadian Institution for Research and Development, who focused on artificial intelligence So it depends. You are not always eligible for all the calls. So you need to check the context of the call, the topics of the call, and according to your topic of work, so you decide to prepare a proposal or not. And we have
Gaoussou, I would like to add in this prospect. You know, why we started by mapping the donors, and I said that you have to have information on these donors, the time they will call for project, and so because all the donors may not be funding your project, but once you know the main donors who fund your project, then you can see their topics and they can guide you on the topic you can develop in your project. In that way, you become you write and get ready. Once you know the call, because there are windows of call, they do not call all the time. Generally, you have December or January or April. You get ready, you go to their website, or sometimes you even register like the World Bank, like the Africa CDC or the African Union or any other organism. When you get when you get the newsletter, you have the offers, you know the offers, and when you open your account, you get the offers, and in that way you can know when are they calling for a project, and you know the topic on which they are funding the project, and you get ready, you write your project, and once it's open, you're already done. You just have some detailed aspect to do and get ready for the application. Someone asked how to contact other consortium in the other continent. If it's necessary, but if it's not necessary, you don't need to. If you think you have the skills, you can just do it with your lab, with your research team, and etc. So that's what I wanted to add to this question. Thank you. Gaoussou, proceed.
Okay, thank you very much, Mamadou, for responding to this question. Thank you to Oduyemi and my colleague Ibrahim Anjay for their reaction. And we have a last question from John Oparaduru. Is there basic requirement on the qualification rank of who leads a proposal group? Okay, this is also a very interesting question. As I said, I would like to focus on the human and organizational qualities of the lead. You know, the lead as a person needs someone who really has the ability, you know, to motivate a group, to discuss, to be diplomatic. You know, this is for me key requirements for a lead as a person. For example, for a lead as an institution, this is very important because sometimes, you know, there are some criteria defined by the donor about the leader. For example, a donor could say for this call, the leader must be a public university in French-speaking countries, for example. You know, this defines the qualification of the leader as an institution. And also, it could be saying that the leader must be an institution having, for example, budget not less than, for example, 100,000 million, 100 million each year. So the donor can define the qualification and the requirements for the lead. But essentially, talking about the leader as a person, for me, it must be a diplomatic person, a person well qualified in terms of organization and in terms of management of activities and time. We have another question, please. I want to know, in many cases, what to do. Should I prepare my project before waiting for the call for tenders, or should I call before reacting? Should I prepare my project before waiting the call for tenders? Yeah, I think I understand the question. As I advised in my previous slides, it's better to start working on proposals, gathering partners, because sometimes you don't have enough time from the opening of the call to the deadline. So you could have a lot of advantage compared to your concurrent if you have started working on your proposals before the call. Now I can understand, but because when you are working on a call, on a proposal, without knowing the specification of the call, it is very difficult. But you can later, when the call is launched, try to adapt your proposal to the specification of the call. So we have, I can let maybe Mariama Khadimbake, because she already asked it to speak, but in the context of the project is local and concern only one country. Is it rewarding to have partners from other countries in the consortium? If it is not specified in the call, maybe it's not necessary. But as I said, a consortium has three motivation: a tactical one, a necessary one, and an imposed one. If it is not imposed to have a partner outside the country, maybe you don't need. But if it is tactical for you, because by having this external partner, you can maybe convince that you can obtain more results. Yes, but rewarding is also another consideration for having this external partner, because maybe it could cost a lot to involve this partner outside your country. If you need him to join, for example, if you needed to join your meetings and so on, it could cost a lot for you. You need to consider this different aspect. I would like to know what could be the factor which could help in identifying the relevant appropriate person expert to join the consortium. The resume, or as said, the CV in French. The resume, you have the experience, the expertise, the publications, all the informations to analyze the profile of a partner to involve in your consortium. You can also ask to your network if they know very well this person, because some aspect of the partner are not in the resume, are not in the survey. So you can ask to someone. For example, I see a partner in Burkina Faso, for example, in a university, Naziboni, and I ask to my friend Malo, oh, do you know this person? I see his resume. He's really talented in such aspect, but how do you evaluate him as a person working in a group and so on? So yeah. This is just some advice to see how to identify relevant or appropriate person to join a consortium. To find out if response to call for project can be done on an individual level or must be a team.
Gaoussou, the hand raised.
Oh, yes. But Mamadou, I think we need to stop in 5 minutes to let you continue the second module of this. Yeah, but I think there is another question here. I wanted to find out if response to a call for project can be done on an individual level or it must be a team. Again and again and again, you need to read the call for proposal. If I take the example of a RISE call, as I said, African Research Initiative for Scientific Excellence, it was individual proposal. So the proposal needed to be submitted by an individual researchers because the call focused on an individual young researchers. They want to help with a significant budget to develop his expertise in Africa that is recognized at international level. This is an example. And the SPIRE example I provided in this course, is a kind of call need to be responded by a team. So, and again, you need to read in details the call specification to ensure have all the specification regarding the consortium. In terms of contractualization, what could guide the choice of any of the type presented? Yeah, for example, if you see that a partner is not able, for example, to manage a budget, for example, you can choose for a centralized one. It also depends on your responsibilities against the donors. If there are strong responsibilities between you and the donors, you can choose to keep the money and then organize the activities from the centralized perspective. Yeah, we can have many kind of criteria that will help to define. Let's allow to Simon Peter Auto to ask his question in line, and then we move through the next presentation. Simon Peter.
Simon, your microphone is muted.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for the wonderful presentations. I have these questions. So do you also have a database, or is it possible to help if there is no database for prospects who are also looking for partners to work on some particular project? So for instance, I'm a Ghanaian in Ghana working at the University of Ghana. I'm an educational technologist. So do you have a database where I can put my CV so that it could be easier for other partners looking for someone like me, or I looking for other people to work on a particular call? And then my second question is that should the size of the writing team be influenced by the value of the money or resources of the call? So these are two questions that I have.
Please, could you repeat the second one, please?
Should the size of the writing team or my partners or consortium be influenced by the value of resources or money of the call? So for instance, if I'm going for a $5 million project, should it be, should the size of my project partners be influenced? So maybe the bigger the money, the bigger the project team members, or the smaller, then the smaller team members. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for these excellent questions. Well, my advice for the first question, we don't have yet a platform, but we are working on a kind of database within the ACE partner program, to put all the contact, all the persons we met during our activities, and allow them to, to interact after these activities. But because what we realize is that After many of the activities, our participants don't have the mean to interact or to keep in touch. So we are working on such a database, and maybe you will receive an email asking you to join, this platform to be able to interact with other researchers in the continent and outside. This is the first response, and to advise is that you need to have a visit card with you, visiting card with you when you are participating in conferences, on-site conferences, for example, and so on, because you can distribute this to the person you meet on these activities. This will help this person maybe in the future, if they remind about the discussion with you, to contact you, for example, to join a consortium and so on. You also maybe can collect visiting cards during the meetings in which you participate, conferences and so on. And this allows you to build your own database, for maybe when in the future you are looking for partners in responding to a call. Another advice is also to set up a website, your own website. I think this is very interesting, or to join LinkedIn, which is also a professional network where you can connect to many other persons around the world. So we are working on our own platform, but you have also existing, formal, informal platform you can use to keep in touch with some potential partners. And for the last question, very interesting question. Usually, the amount or the size of the funding can, influence the size of the consortium. Not always, but usually, yes. Because if the consortium, if the funding is big, sometimes the scope of the project is also big. And for the implementation of the activities of this project, you need to have, multidisciplinary, partners involved in the implementation of your project. Yes, sometimes it is a very good criteria for such big call, like the European calls or American calls, to present, a big consortium. But keep in mind that the size is not always the most important. You can have a big consortium, but if there are no complementarities between the partners, or if there is no coherence on how these partners will work together to achieve the goals of the project, so the size will not have any impact on the evaluation of your proposal. So thank you very much, everyone, for your questions and your patience. So I will suggest to have 5-minute breaks before going through to the 5th module that will be presented by my colleague Mamadou on identification of potential scientific area and formalization of the project research focus. Thank you very much, and see you in 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Gaoussou. Thank you for this bright presentation and the response to all the questions. You really did great. Thank you so much. So thank you, everyone.
And I took a lot of time, more than planned.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you, everyone. So we take a break for 5 minutes. We are 10, almost 11 here. So we will be back at 11:05, 11:10 maximum, and we start the second the next module, the fifth module. Thank you. Like the good. If you like the I lose my screen. Okay. Is it okay? Are you seeing me correctly?
Yes, you can proceed, Mamadou.
Good. So thank you very much for your attendance to this training session. We have already covered the first, the second, and the third, even the fourth module that have introduced you about the grant writing, the skills, but also the context, go to go, pull, not pull, but push. And then you have talked about if necessary to go for a consortium. Is it I'm losing my screen. Okay. Okay, so if necessary, go not to go to a consortium. Is it required? Is it not required? It's up to you. So now let's talk about the identification of potential scientific areas and formalization of the your research project. Yes, some steps we take in order to maximize the presentation. When you're not talking, please keep your microphone muted, and your video also use the chat to ask questions, and the hands to the emoticons to appreciate the presentation or give your opinion. So I usually want to make a recap before starting the module. So in the previous module, we have talked about establishing the consortium. You have talked about the case study. You have talked about the African Union project. And so you have seen some example. And part B, you have talked about prospecting. Are you going or are you not going? And from there, you have to see that you have seen that the timing management is really crucial if you want to succeed in writing your project and answering on time. You have seen that from there, organizing your time, but also organizing the task you have to give to each one. You were talking about the manager. You have to be a real good manager if you want to succeed in writing and submitting on time. You have seen that. So prospecting months before 5 months, before 3 months, and the due date. And you have to register on the side and be always on the side to be aware of changes that are published on this on the site. So prospecting, then setup, etc. So sorry, I have to do some, yes, here, okay. So you have so you have seen three aspects of the consortium, three scenario why you have to go for a consortium, three reasons. Is it imposed? If it's imposed, then you have to go because it is imposed. But if it's tactical, it's up to you to see. Is it necessary or is it not necessary? This is your own decision. But when it is imposed, they also guide you on how you will do that. You will not just go along doing as looking for consortium and working in a consortium. So now when we talk about the module number 5, we are going to address this question. So give me just a few minutes. I have issues with my screen. It is moving, going, and I don't know why it did. Okay, maybe I can change. Yes, no, okay, yeah. Okay. So in this module, we're talking about excuse me, again, it moves, sorry. Okay, so in this module, we are talking about part A, how to identify the scientific issues, example of the African Research Institute on Scientific Excellence pilot program. You also always hear they're talking about ARISE, PP, ARISE program, ARISE project. ARISE is the African Research Initiative on Scientific Excellence pilot program. And in this part, we will talk also about how to identify the scientific issues. Here, we will insist on how to understand the context of a call for proposal. We will talk about understanding a call of proposal, how you can read and understand. We will talk about the rules of participation. And in part B, we will insist on how to formalize the research project with focus on checking the relevance of the project to call, also on identifying the research hypothesis. So here, the key word is organization, structuring and ordering ideas, tasks, time, and finally, time management. These are key aspects you have to understand and to keep in mind through this fifth module. So the training aim is to identify scientific areas, issues, and formalize the focus of the research project. It is part of 8-step course. This one is the module 4 that comes just after the consortium. The content is summary, how to identify the scientific issues, how to formalize the research project, focus, etc. So as I said, in part A, we are talking about how to identify the scientific issues. And in this part, we structure it into 3 points: how to understand the context for a call of proposal, read and understanding a call for proposals, and finally, understanding the rules of participation. So where you can find the information, on which website is a call for proposal published? What is the funding body? In which context is this call published? What is the final objective? What is the expected impact? So as it said previously, you have did the mapping of the donors. You have received the call for proposal. Now you go directly to their website, and here you can find the information required for the answer, and which is the context in which the context this call published. When you read the project, you find the context. It is already mentioned, and it is mentioned in detail. And again, if you have information you do not understand, do not hesitate. write a mail and ask to understand in detail what is ask the question, so they will answer and you will be more highlighted, more delighted on what they want you to answer. What is the final objective? When you read the call for project, you will see the objective of the project, and then it helps you to be more precise and clear about how to answer and how to write it. What is the expected impact? All these are detailed in the project. So we give you an example of the African and European Union Corporation, which started by 2007, where they had a joint African Union strategy in which they define some point on which they will work together, which include human and social development, agriculture and food security, development of knowledge-based societies. In 2014-2007, so they had the first strategic roadmap, and by 2020, they had a joint declaration toward a comprehensive strategy with Africa. Yes. So this joint Africa-European Union strategy had 5 cooperation areas: the green transition and access to energy, digital transformation, sustained growth and jobs, and peace and governance, and finally, migration and mobility. So these are key points on which they agreed to cooperate. So thematic priority, just during the presentation, one of our participants were asking what are the thematic priorities. So you see here, we talk about development of sustainable energy, support transport solution, agriculture, circulation, and blue economy. We talk also about, in this cooperation, European Union and African Union, these are some topics that are involved, that are included in their collaboration. So strengthening the role of the private sector and create jobs while improving the business environment. European and developing countries clinical trial partnership to fund clinical research into medical tools to detect, treat, and prevent poverty-related infectious diseases in sub-Saharan Africa. So in this aspect, you will see many funding on coronavirus detection, diagnosis, screening. You will see how to say genomic sequencing. You will see a lot about public health project, epidemiology, biology, and so on. So when you're working on basic science, on field investigation, you will see a lot of projects on this area. So you also have the strengthening scientific capacity in Africa in 4 areas cooperation, like the human capital development, training students, training masters, training PhD degrees in specific field. You have scientific advisory services for policy, or also open science and gender. Again, you have the agenda for 2063. I don't know if you know a little bit about this, which is for the blueprint and master plan from 2013. The African leaders shared the vision for the future of the continent and a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. This was the first aspiration. You have also the citizens are well educated and sufficiently skilled, supported by science, technology, and innovation is the second aspiration of the cooperation between the African Union and the European Union. So also at point 6, you have the technology innovation strategy for Africa within the framework of Agenda 2063. The mission of the Science, Technology, and Innovation Strategy for Africa 2024 is to accelerate Africa transition to the knowledge and innovation-based economy. Still in the 6th point, you have here the priorities and the pillars. At the left, you have the eradication, hunger, and achieving food security, prevent and control disease and ensure well-being, communication, physical and intellectual mobility, protect all our space, live together, build the society, and create wealth. But and the pillars, the four pillars are construction or improvement of research infrastructure, improve professional and technical skills, promote entrepreneurship and innovation, and provide enabling environment for IST development on the African continent. So just during the COVID, you know, most of African institution, health institution, I would like to say that they were not, they did not have trained personnel for how to say managing epidemic. So during the COVID, you see in many African hospitals, health structures, there was lack of technology, trained healthcare workers, and many other aspects that could help them fight the COVID, have the right strategy to respond to the COVID. And there was a lot of fundings on projects that aim to train healthcare workers on epidemic, on how to say, emergency response to epidemic, a lot of funding on how to say the infodemic, like to work on the social network to just inform, give the right information to the population, but also to help them understand how they can behave when they feel symptoms of COVID-19. There are many fundings on such a topic. For the African Academy of Science, you know, this academy has supported the development of leadership in research and high quality science environment in sub-Saharan Africa through the alliance of accelerating excellence in science in Africa. And again, I encourage you to go to this website and register, because they organize very often, they organize webinars on funding project in Africa. So you can go and on their website and register, have your account. This platform was set up with the African Union Development Agency, the NEPAD, which is charged of the implementation of the STISE 2024. So I mentioned the ARISE. So a case study is the African Research Initiative on Scientific Excellence Pilot, which aim to support the careers of young African researchers to set up their own research team for an innovative project. So my advice is go ahead. Go to this website, register, have the go through the website and see the program, what they finance, what they fund, and what is the period of their funding, so that you can be ready to be, you can prepare yourself, you can prepare your team, you can see which project is your own, and which project you can do a consortium, you can collaborate, and so on, right? Get ready for application. So the RISE grant is opportunity for you to develop your research career and rise the rank of leader responsible for your own grant. So the Arise pilot program is funded by the 2019 Annual Action Program of the Pan-African Program. Though also the European Union main financial instrument dedicated the Africa EU Strategic Partnership. It is the first ever EU development and cooperation program to cover the entire African continent. The overall funding is, you see, 150.2 million euro. So here, how to say, you have, it's not limited like to West Africa, it's not limited to East Africa, it's the whole Africa. So for example, if you think you are qualified and you can still cooperate with Guinea, with lab in Kenya or lab in South Africa, why not collaborate with them and write a bigger project to have the funding? I remember some of our partners in Ghana, they also had a project like this. Collaborating with Guinea for sequencing of COVID-19, some lab in Burkina Faso also. You have such kind of collaboration that can help you go for bigger budgets. And I would like to remind that there are some calls where it's individual and some calls are for institution. And individual, you may not need for individual calls, it's just for you and let's say your lab, but for institution, generally, you may need collaboration. Thematic priority of the program. Generally, you have the funding come through programs like public health, green transition, innovation technology, scientific skills, in which you find yourself, which of these program are you working on? Is it public health? Is it green transition? If it's one of them, then go ahead, find the details, read and understand how you can adapt your project with this topic. So based on the European program, the IRC RISE PP is based on the European Research Council program created by in 2007 by the European Commission. So what it includes, funding scientific excellence at the frontiers of knowledge, open call, not predefined thematic area. So generally, when you apply for a project where there is no predefined thematic area, read and go to the website, take the information, read to better have information and adapt your project on what they're looking for, because these ones are not generally very restricted. I would like to say they're not very restricted compared to those that are thematic oriented. So read them, and you may have the chance to win, because it's wide open compared to a restricted specific project where only those who are qualified or working on the field can apply. So target profile project, young researchers at the beginning of their career with leadership skills and proposition and proposing an innovative project. Some links where you can go and register, have information. You can even open your own account and receive the info letters, so you can be aware when they are sending, when they are calling for proposals. So you have the African Union, European Union Partnership Joint Strategy, you have the Agenda 2063, you have the STISS strategy for 24, you have the African Academic Science, you have the Alliance for accelerating excellence in science in Africa. You have the Africa CDC, you have the African, the African Union itself, you have the what we say in the ECOWAS in West Africa. So you have different websites where you can go and see more information on proposal they are funding, and you can get ready to have your project written and ready for submission. Once the call is launched, you can just make an adjustment and then submit your proposal. So read and understand a call for proposal. What we want you to do in this aspect. So in this step, we want you to ask the right question for two type of question. The first one is a question on the project itself. What is the context of launching this project? What the funder mean? What he wants? Why he's launching the call for project? What is the eligibility criteria? Are you eligible as an individual, or are you eligible as an institution? Are you eligible as a consortium? What is the eligibility? Go read it, understand it, and get ready. Find whether you can apply or not before wasting your time working on a project where you're even not eligible. Which structure can apply? Make sure your structure can apply. What is the maximum amount per project? What are the eligible costs? What is the framework to answer, etc. And now the evaluation. What is the deadline for submission? Help you manage your time, know whether you can apply. Is the time frame enough for you to be prepared? On which website should I submit my project? Generally, the call for project will show you the website and the link where you can connect and open and so on. What are the evaluation criteria? What are the evaluator, and what is the evaluation timeline? Here I show you the African Academy Science funding call for call detail. Here you have, due to a relative high volume of application expression of interest for a RISE program, grants are still under review, and we expect to complete the exercise by end of October 2021. Application will receive the decision on their application. All applicants will receive a decision on their application. We thank you for your patience. You see, just to say, it will take time, and so be ready, get ready, or get prepared on the answers, but also on writing your project in responding, respecting not only the deadline but the qualification required for the application, because this means they take time to look at its respondent, whether it's qualified or not, whether it has respected all the question, the qualification criteria before he apply or not. It's not like it's not a selection where everything goes very fast. They take in consideration all the detail. And you know, sometimes many people apply and many people are qualified. Many people are qualified. So how to select the best? These will take, when they have many projects that are qualified, the selection will be based on some priorities, some detail that you have mentioned in your program, in your project, so that you can succeed in achieving your project. So yes, pay attention to how you write, how you answer, the details that are asked in the project. So project also are in written. You have English option, French, and Arabic and Portuguese. Call expression of interest African Academy Science. Here you have funding amount, some information you find on the website. So keyword, early career, research leader, African nationals, African researchers. So if you are not from here, from the keyword, if you are not early career, research leader, African nationals, you may not be qualified. So pay attention to this keyword before you go further. So what is the amount? 500,000 euro maximum, 5 years, not more than 5 years. You have 5 years. It's funded for 5 years. And funder deadline is mentioned also. So UCT intention to submit deadline, UCT internal deadline. You have also contact for more information. Here they show you the deadline, but also information link. You can send your emails, you can call to have more information. Sorry. Yes, so these are how to say the document you read to better understand how you will organize your answer. So online system also, when you register, you have the email, you create your password, and you have your account. Also some links, the call for proposal website here, African Academy of Science, the Ishango subscription platform, etc. Understanding the rules of participation. After you have seen how to read and understand, you have identified the context of the call, you have read and understood the call for proposal, the project itself, how the right question on the project itself is evaluation, your qualification as individual, as institution. And now let's talk a little bit about the rules of participation. So who can apply? African researcher citizen of Africa countries with 2 to 7 year experience in research but again, it's just one since is enough, but since obtaining their PhD, 2 to 7 years of experience research since obtaining their PhD. A promising scientific career and an excellent research proposal to conduct prestigious research at African University or Research Institute. African Universities, Research Institute, PhD below 7 years. Clarification on the guide, a PhD degree obtained 2 to 7 years from the date submission of the expression of interest. So make sure you answer to this requirement before you apply. So other details on the application: 2 to 7 years experience from date of submission, have been employed as a postdoc or a teaching assistant for at least 2 years, show leadership skills, identified as the principal investigator of the project, conducting your research project in an African institution, university based in Africa. These are qualifications you have to satisfy if you want to succeed in your proposal. If you do not satisfy, make sure if you do not satisfy, you have less chance to succeed, because you're not the only applier. There are many applicants, so there are those who qualify for the project. So pay attention to these keywords before you go further. Still in the understanding of the rules, practical advice for you to start is check your eligibility. Are you eligible? Is your institution eligible? And then write a short text presenting your project example, just one paragraph. You remember we talked about the project tree. Do the same thing. Your project, just to draft it on one paper and look at how to say, look at the requirement, look at the eligibility, your institution, the context, and have a draft, right? Look at the draft and see, first, are you eligible? If you're eligible, then you go further. If you're not eligible, don't waste your time. Register online on the platform. As I said, registering online will help you be updated on what is going on, if there are some changes or not changes. Identify the question to answer in your project. You have to make sure that this question is really clear enough for you to answer. If you have any other questions, go write a mail and ask for more clarification. Check if annexes are required. Get the template, I mean the project, the CV, your resume, the badges, letter of support. Yes, letter of support. Generally, they will ask you some letter of support. Do not wait the end of the like 5 days before submission to ask for these letters. Ask for these letters very early and see, look for some PI who have experience on running project, who have received project, to make these letters for you. That will be more helpful. So I think practical exercise is identifying keyword of the call, for project. So some exercise, just to give you here, how to say, diversity, impact, young, transmission, excellence, independence, transmission, capacities, talent, innovation, technology, multidisciplinary. You will have to involve all these aspects in your answers. So now, before we go to how to formalize the research project focus, do we take some questions? We have, I think, how many minutes we have? I think we have just 15 minutes. If you have some questions, then we can take, and then we go for the next part, which just have a few slides. How important should we take the years of experience criteria in proposal? Should we consider it as a reason not to apply? How important should we take the years of experience? Years of experience is very important. It's not something it's not a second, it's a key point. Why? Because it shows the donor, how are you experienced in running project, in managing project, in handling with challenges, in overcoming these challenges. It shows you that you are qualified to conduct the project. Remember, when you stay at the place of those who call for the project, when you become the donor and you want to fund your money, you would like to give it to someone who can help you have to get the result of the result you want. So you who are responding, you have to show that your qualification, your experience are not enough, but you are rich enough. You have a background, you have experiences that can help you achieve the objective he is looking for. So if you do not show this criteria, even though you have the number of years required, but if you don't show this experience, you may not be able to answer correctly to the call. And even though you in the project you answer, once you are funded, you will have problem to overcome the difficulties, to overcome the management, to overcome many aspects required in the project to have the solution. So it's very important for you to have the experience. That's why if you do not have this experiences to collaborate, to make a consortium, not just for here, I would not talk about consortium, but to collaborate with other institutions that are specific, that are qualified to do some aspects that you don't have. I don't know if I answer to the question. Should we consider as a reason not to apply? No. If you do not, like, if you're working as a field investigator or lab research, there is another one who can do the aspect where you are not, you don't have enough experience. Then you can share the task. He can do that one, and you can do the field where you have more expertise. This help you win the project and run it in with your collaboration. But if you it's not a reason for you not to apply. Can you explain the connection between article published in journals and research proposal writing? Yes, you know, yesterday we talked about the art, we talk about bibliography, we talked about gray literature. Why? Because where you can find information that justify your problem, your project is a need in the milieu, in your country, in your region, in the local area, where you can find this information. When you go to the website, when you go to the database like PubMed, Web of Science, or Google Scholar, you have a lot of application related to the project you're developing. And in these articles, you find limitation, you find benefits, you find results, you find challenges that help you have better information and document your project. When you go to the website of the ministry of the government, or the NGO, or the World Bank, or the World Health Organization, you also find information related to your project. And all these information help you to better understand the project and to better write the answer, to better justify the need of the project in your local area. That's how they help you answer to they help you to write your research proposal. Hope I answered the question. If it's not clear, you can still write your question. So, sir, thank you for the presentation. Based on your presentation, looking at the eligibility criteria, PhD candidate cannot apply. What if you want to do a joint application using your institution, supervisor, etc.? So maybe I did not explain correctly, but I didn't say PhD cannot apply. The funder will ask you. He said that when we take the ARISE example, he said you should, before your PhD, before you get your PhD, before your PhD graduation, and the application for the project should be 2 to 7 years. When you are 1 year before, you cannot apply, and when you are you're at your 8th year, you cannot apply. So you have to be in this interval of time. But again, the funder will tell you whether you're a PhD or you're a PI, you're running your lab, you're the supervisor, you have experience. Generally, some projects can only PhD and above are qualified. Young researchers, some researchers who already have experiences. But PhD, generally PhD researchers with PhD can be qualified. What is if you want to do a joint application using your institution supervision and or PI, etc.? Okay. Generally, you have a responsible for the project who will how to say, who will respond to, who will be the main investigator of the project. Let's suppose you're a master's student and you're not qualified, but you see the project is very interesting. Then in that way, if you can write the project, you think you can write the project and answer, then why not collaborate with your PI, with your mentor, and then write the project and submit it together. But in that case, Even though you're the one who write the project, the main respondent is your supervisor, because he is the one who has the PhD, he is the one who has more experience and so on. Hope I answered the question. Do we have a few more questions? No? Okay. So if we don't have other question, I can proceed.
You can continue, yeah.
Gaoussou, can you add some maybe comment for
You can continue. I will wait for the next.
Okay, thank you. So part B, how to formalize. Now you have decided, now you have looked at the project, you know you can run, you can apply. I mean the evaluation, the project itself, you are really qualified 100%. Now you proceed. Yes. So in here, before which topic are you, which point are you you focusing on? The relevance of the project to the call. You have to check it, and here then you have to identify the research hypothesis. The right question to consider. I said already that you have to think about your eligibility. Are you eligible? If yes, is your institution, your organization eligible? Yes. Does my project fit in context of the call? Remember yesterday we talked a lot about the context, and even in this RISE example, they have given you a lot of context in which they call for project. So does your project how to say fit in the context? Is the thematic area part of the targeted strategic priorities? I have some the strategic priorities for this African Union EU corporation. Is the project budget eligible? Are all costs eligible? Yeah, again, check about the cost eligible, because it's not all costs that are eligible. Refer to the evaluation criteria, principal investigator, intellectual capacity and creativity. To what extent has the PI demonstrated the ability to conduct innovative research? Again, we are talking about experience. To what extent does the PI demonstrate independent, creative thinking? To what extent does the PI have the specific expertise and capacity to carry out the project? You see, all these show how experience you have in the field. When you are answering this, we immediately know if you have experience or not. Because remember also, you have to join your publications. You can join publication, report, etc. on your previous project that can show, that can justify that you have run project, you have experience in running project. So how to answer? Ability to conduct innovative research beyond the state of the art. Meaning here, state of art, meaning the research you have done on the publications, gray literature, and literature from database. Creative independent thinking, you have here to show how the project is carried out as a principal investigator or a supervision. The expertise, scientific career, project career out and carried out and publication. You have to show all of these to be convincing for the donor to fund your project. And the evaluation criteria will be based on innovative character and potential impact on the research project. Also, to what extent does the proposed research address major challenges? To what extent the objective are ambitious and go beyond the state of art? What extent does the proposed research present high risk and benefit? Someone asked yesterday about risk and benefit. Do you ignore? Do you mention? Better mention and show how you will overcome, how you will limit, how do you mitigate these challenges. Still on the how to answer, you have the context of the project linked to challenge to the African Union strategy. If you are answering to the project and your project is not linked to these challenges, so how do you want how you want your project to be qualified? Of course not. So you have to link your project with these cooperation. Your ambitious goal, new concept and approaches development between across disciplines. These show how your goals are ambitious when you when you take into account these aspects. High risk, high gain. Of course, we know that there is no project where you have 100% certainty that you will succeed. So there are always risks. Show them and show how you can deal with them in order to achieve your goals. Refer to evaluation criteria. What do they take into account while evaluating your project? So they will insist on the scientific approach, which focus on how feasible is the scientific approach described. An example you take when talking about scientific approach, after you have the objective, which are the variables are you considering when analyzing, when measuring, when evaluating, and so on. All these aspects will show the scientific approach that you will use to investigate the question of the proposal. What extent does the proposal go beyond what individual principal investigator could achieve alone? How crucial is the combination of scientific elements presented in the proposal to address the scope of complexity of the research question? You see how they evaluate you and your experience, your background, everything is evaluated when you try to answer to this question. And remember, those who evaluate the project are also scientists like you, or even who have experience more than you. So when you're writing, don't think they don't know. They know. They are sometimes PI. Just to give you one example, my project was evaluated by 3-5 persons even. The one who is specific, who is really specialized in my field. Another one who is not specialized at all. He really doesn't know anything about it. But when he reads, he can tell something. And some other guy who has just one aspect, epidemiological aspect, infectious immunology, which is typically a fundamental research, the epidemiology, which was field investigation, one who was from the civil society. He didn't know anything about epidemiology, he didn't know anything about immunology, but he had something what he knows about the project itself in the population. What is the impact of the project in the population? So you see, everyone will address a typical question, which is touch the project and help its success in the field. So how to answer? We already mentioned that achievable project, you have to go with the SMART. It's achievable, it's relevant, and talk about the methodology, breakdown into work package, task, milestone, and deliverable, time and resources, work plan, research environment, budget, justification. So after that, we talk about the last point, which is identifying the research hypothesis. Again, this is already mentioned in the project. You just have to to adapt your question to what is mentioned in the project. according to what you have already seen behind, like the objective, innovation introduced, scientific approach, expected result. This you already know because you have already read the project. You have seen what is in the field. I mean, the background, the literature, what is mentioned, the result you have seen on the literature you have already conducted on database and website. So define your objective. What we mean by defining your objective, what are the main reasons for submitting this proposal? This is one of the objective of your answer. You will say why. I think we are running over time. I have to go quickly. Start with the general objective of this project is always to contribute to something. So the project, the general objective will be this, and from this general objective, you will structure the general objective into specific objective 1, specific objective 2, and then for each one, you will associate an action. Like if I want to obtain 55% increase in access to water, then I will train or I will drill 5 wells, 10 wells, etc. So you have general objective, you have specific objective, and each specific objective has action associated. So list the project objective, the main objective, and then objective 1, 2, the sub-objective, etc. Identifying the innovation in my project, technical area, state of art, progress beyond the state of the art, etc. So describe the state of art, describe the technical limit of what currently exists. Yes. One of the students of the participant asked yesterday if my project is addressing a problem that is already done. Can I ignore it or can I still work on it? I said that when you address such kind of question, look at whether you can improve or you cannot improve. If you can improve, then go for improve, and then add other sources, other causes that you can take into account. So describe the technical limit of what currently exists. Explain the progress and innovation brought about the project. So still in the scientific approach, this is the how from an implementation point of view. Present the work plan with work package and eventually task, include the duration of each work package and eventually task from month 1 onward in Gantt chart. I think we already talked about the Gantt chart, otherwise maybe we will show it later. Link task to clearly present the chronology of the work. Of course, I said that every objective is associated with a task, and every task has to be done on a period of time. You will not conduct all the tasks at the same time, but you will conduct the task one after one. But maybe simultaneously, some of the task can be conducted, but they follow an order. That's what you have to do in the Gantt chart. Add deliverables so that the end result is clearly identified. So this is the Gantt task. Here you have here the years, and you have here I can make it bigger, I think, I don't know. So you have here the time period, and you have here the task. Like, for example, this is May, I think it's May, June, July, etc. You said, for example, from May to June, what are you expecting to do? Are you starting? Are you doing the literature review? Are you digging? Are you drilling the wells? Are you here? You select the period of time and you write the action. And here the action is, you mentioned here the action to do. And this is how you conduct your project, how you identify, how you make it clear that the donor will see, oh, okay, from month 1 to month 2 to month 6, he will do this action. from month 3 to month 9, he will conduct this action and so on until the end of the project. Example, links between work packages. You see work package 1, work package 2, work package 3, work package 4, and you see work package 5, and so on. So you can see that this work package can be done together, and then you go to the work package 5, and so on. Expected result, very important aspect of your project. Scientific, such as contribution to specific scientific advances, creating new knowledge and skills, training new experts, that's what I was mentioning before, strengthening scientific equipment. In your lab, you cannot measure the pollution of water. Do you have the machine? No, you don't have, but you will have to pay. If you have already the machine, do you have the personnel, I mean, the team members who are trained for that? You train them. All these enter to scientific requirement, instrument, computer system, and so on. So training of new experts. Economic technology, like bringing new products, services, business process, market, etc., improving efficiency, lower price, increase profit, etc. All these are the impact of the project on the population, on the lab, on etc. So societal environment include reduce CO2 emission, reduce mortality, improve policy and decision making, raise consumer awareness, etc. Beware of not to confuse. So we have to take a breath here. That of course you see what you're drafting your project now. You have almost answered, you know, everything, what you have to include, what you not have to include, but be aware that some you cannot do some confusion. Objective, outcome, and impact. Sustainable water management is just an example. You should not confuse the objective, the outcome, and the impact. These have to be separated and clearly described and defined. Like developing a water sanitation system is among the objective. Building a water sanitation system is among the result. And improving water quality is the impact of your result of the project, and contribute to improving the health of the population. This is also impact of the project. So be very clear, define them, and don't confuse them. Don't put impact on the result, result on the objective, and so on. Developing more environmental friendly mining method, objective, new extraction tool, result, preservation of biodiversity, this is impact, contribute to improving the health of population, this is impact. Still develop an AI tool for training hospital staff, this is objective. AI tool to train hospital staff on operating technique, this is a result. Improve the staff training, this is impact. Better patient care, this is also an impact. So innovate methodology to identify the onset of infectious disease, this is a result. And improve the patient care and reduced mortality, this is the impact of your result. Send out and cross-cutting issues, data sharing and open science, diversity and inclusion, human and animal testing, risk and audits, research culture, monitoring, evaluation. All these are key hypotheses on which you can focus your project, and think about when you're writing your project. Last advice before we finish this presentation, know how to summarize your project. You see, when you have done all this investigation to document your project, now you have to summarize, because you can write all of this in your project, and you know it is limited to sometimes 3,000 words and not more. So you have to summarize your project in one sentence and give it an appropriate title. Respect the template, adopt a clear, neat, and dynamic style, make the project understandable, demonstrate the added value. Very important. Make your project understandable and demonstrate the added value. Why understandable? Even I insist on that one, because I said that the evaluator may not all from your field, but they should all understand what you mean. If you use confusing words, it shows that you really don't understand your project. So you have to make it very understandable from the higher scientist to the guy who is not in the field. Added value, insist on, because we want your project to have impact on the society, on the population. So do not neglect the framing, of course. Keep the framing in mind. Be prepared in advance for the annex. Have your project proofread, especially for English. What tools can help me? Template of the project in Word, budget template with Excel, model letter, and support. These documents, you have to have them already. So where to find help? African Secretariat, here you have their website, link to the frequent asked questions, webinars, and etc. So for the take home, read and understand the context of call project, check your eligibility. Before you waste your time, please check if you are eligible or not. Write a short drafting text presenting your project. This help you fix your ideas. Register online. Don't miss some updates that they are doing on the website, and be on top. Identify question to answer. This help you to be ready, or to avoid mistake. Check in annexes if required. Get the template, the project template, your resume template, the budget, the letter support, etc. So this is what I wanted to share with you. I know I'm so limited in time. I had to go very fast. Hope you have understood, and with the recording and the material, I guess you will understand better the presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I'm here to answer the question. Thank you. Welcome for the question.
Thank you very much, Mamadou, for this excellent presentation and for doing your best to save time. So I will suggest we open the questions for 15 minutes so that we can have 1 hour and 30-minute break before the next session at 2 p.m. Universal Time. So could you check please on the Q&A chat box to see if you have answered to all the questions?
Yeah, okay.
Otherwise, people who wanted to ask a question online can.
Yeah, you can raise your hand,
yeah,
or use the Q&R to ask your question. Yeah.
I suppose that it was very clear, and people may be.
Do you see some questions? No.
Not yet. We have Frank Wenu, I guess from Benin. So Frank, you can ask your question online.
Thank you very much, guys. CAMARA, the presentation was very interesting and very clear. I don't have any more questions, but I wish if we can have the slides in addition to the video, so that going through the text, reading the text, we will have the comment from the presentators. Thank you.
Sure, sure. We will share all the slides, there is the course materials, and so on. Thank you very much, Frank. Mamadou, I saw that you resolved some unanswered questions on the chat. So maybe
I think I answered to those questions.
no, I saw a last question from Sheriff Diallo, but it was.
Oh, okay. I didn't pay
So
attention.
I
Sherif?
asked to the person who put their question to put them again, so that Mamadou could
Yeah.
reply. Okay. I have just one question. Do you offer lunch? Oh, yeah. I guess that people may be angry, but yeah, online. This is interesting. Maybe we should put a call for proposal of an online lunching platform.
Good idea. That's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to launch for proposal.
So thank you very much, Sharif. So Mamadou, I think we can stop here, and
Okay.
we did almost 3 hours and 30 minutes. So I think we can profit from the long break, and then if needed, we can collect further questions in the afternoon session.
Okay.
Please unshare your screen, please. Okay, great.
Yep.
Great. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you in 1 hour and 43 minutes, 2 p.m. Universal Time.
Yes. So thank you, everyone. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.